Welcome to the Property Preservation Insider Show. Last week, we gave you a front row seat to the filth and chaos most people don't even want to deal with. And this week, we're going a little deeper. This week, viewer discretion isn't just advised, you've been warned. Because today, we're going to uncover homes left behind by tragedy with stories most people aren't ready to hear. Now, let me turn it over to the pros. Brian and Mary, where are we getting started today?
Canada. We're stationed in Pennsylvania. Um, I'm sure we've all heard about the massive forest fires in Ontario. Come to find out, a landfill caught on fire. Here in the northern East Coast, we have been hammered with air quality problems and just this constant annoying haze and almost like a plastic smell. So that was a fun end of our week. Anyone watching, did you get affected by it? Did you see anything? I know Illinois got hit. I don't know. I think Maryland got hit a little bit. So if you did get some of that wonderful sunshine from Canada, let us know. We're kind of intrigued. Today is one of those things that, as part of our industry, we never quite want to talk about, but it happens. People pass away. And when people pass away, they're not always in the most best situations, unfortunately. And this is a reality of our business because at the end of the day, what drives our business, as I always say, are the 5 Ds: death, divorce, disease, and disaster. Now, as a property preservation professional in the field, think about the houses, think about the stories you've heard about these houses. What caused that house to go into a pre foreclosure or even a foreclosure situation? The 4 Ds: death, disease, divorce, disaster. Today we are talking about death. People pass away all the time. And when people do, a lot of times there could be a reverse mortgage or it could be a situation where the family can't deal with the property. There's too much debt, there's too much whatever. So they leave the house for us to clean up. This is what we're going to. We've picked some of the best situations. These are old properties that we have had over the years that really stick out to us. The backstories are one that truly tug at your heartstrings, that truly make you cringe a little bit, and some of those, well, makes you wanna, well, never mind. So we are going to dive right into this one. This particular property that we're going to talk about is a very tragic situation. So I want to hold on that picture right here. So this particular picture you see in here, we have a bed and we have some bleach and we have some cut drywall. I want everyone to zoom in, which you can't, but right where the drywall is cut, you see a little gray box and 2 pieces of wood. This is old school 2x4s. So the story goes is the father was walking up through this hallway, and where that bottle of bleach is, there's a door, and the son and girlfriend were playing Xbox there sitting on the bed. And they were getting loud. Yeah, I can't, you get into that Xbox moment, you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to vocalize. Anyway, dad came up, kind of pushed the door open with his foot and said, hey, you're making too much noise. You're making too much noise. You need to shut up. Kind of one of those requests. Dad turns around, shuts the door, starts walking right down this hallway. And right where that little gray box is, if you zoom in, there's a little hole in the drywall. That hole was from a gun. Son was quite upset. Dad ain't going to talk to me like that, not in front of my girlfriend. Walked over to his closet, which is right on the other side of that door, grabbed his rifle and shot through the wall. Shot his dad in the back. But if you can see the little hole, and if that hole was in the other direction, just by an inch, you would have hit one of those 2x4s, and that man would be alive. By the way, the son was convicted and serving life in jail. So let's move on through the pictures, please. So you see here, after the first strike, the dad fell to the ground, started bleeding. You see how the drywall was cut from the impact, from the blood splatter. And the dad tried to start walking to get down these steps here to get back into safety, or so he felt. The son came up with the rifle, reloaded, and then shot his father in the head twice. while he was laying where that piece of plywood is. A truly tragic story at most. But these are the realities of what we have to deal with in the preservation business, because we have to deal with these situations when the family or the situation goes into this realm and you have these houses. You see here how the drywall was cut. That was actually due to the blood splatter. The drywall on the wall where the window was all cut out. And you see how there's smaller holes where literally they cut all the particles and blood away because they had to. You know what I mean? We didn't see this. We didn't do any of this work. We acquired this property afterwards. But again, the neighbors do talk about the houses. The neighbors do talk about the stories. And when we found this out, we have a job to do, regardless of the tragedy. But one thing also I kind of want to talk about a little bit is, you get up there, you can see the bullet hole right there. But yeah, a tragic day. A life was ended and a life was ruined, all because of a statement. But we get into these properties, and I don't know if anyone sees it. I'll jump in and say this, but I can feel tragedy, and sometimes when we go into these properties, I don't see ghosts, and I'm not psychic, but you can feel it. Ever since I walked into that property on the first time, because I did the initial secure there, the house just felt heavy. You know what I mean? It felt like there was something there. It felt oppressed in the best way I can say. You could feel the energy of negativeness. You know what I mean? So, but subsequently, the property, after about 3 years, we did remove everything. We trashed everything out. We cleaned everything up. We did a couple of roof repairs that were fun. The basement kept getting flooded too, by the way, until the bank turned the power on. But after it was all said and done, we trashed everything out, and that house was sold and totally flipped out. And someone is currently living in there now. I have not had the gumption to talk to the people and ruin their new house, so I just left that one alone. But that is one that a tragic story that will stick with me until the day I die, knowing what transpired on those steps many, many, many years ago. And realistically, it's a sad, tragic ending to a couple lives. It truly is. One thing, too, since we are talking and since we're here, but you see this picture right here, second floor hall, 8x16, that's chalk. That's one of the nice additives that we do to our properties for our bidding process is we actually label rooms and we actually measure them with laser tape. So that way for future bidding or just clarification of photographs, we always have the rooms marked. And again, if it ever becomes an issue, it's chalk, a little bit of cleaner and a rag. It all goes away. It's not a permanent fixture. It doesn't stain anything or damage anything. But that's just one thing that we do on the regular with all of our properties. Some of our REO properties, some of our real estate properties, we actually use our blue tape or we have yellow tape that we use. So again, another tip in the series of it all, definitely label your rooms. It helps keep track of the photographs, where you're at, what you're doing. And we go into depth inside of our new school program, inside of our new training classes that we are building. Just the little tips, just the little things over the years that we've kind of come up with over time to help us out and make us more efficient. So, but yeah, so that was a very interesting house. You can't to know that literally where you're standing, taking that picture, somebody passed away through a violent activity. Kind of, puts things in perspective. So, but so let's move on to our next property. This is another wonderful one. Mary, you want to talk about this one for a little bit?
Okay, so we've actually had this property through several clients. It gets switched around and hopped around. I believe you were there long before I ever received it. So this one, I believe, was an elderly lady.
Yes.
That ended up passing away in her home. When they ended up finding her, she had animals. She had pets, but she had been there for so long, and her animals were hungry, and they actually started to eat her.
There's a few of them right there. That was the scariest thing for a long time because this house was dark. Of course, it's nice and bright because of my lights. But literally walking through a house that looked like that, and then you're swinging your light around, then you see a freeze-dried taxidermy dog in one of the corner cabinets. Kind of makes you freak out a little. There's my hand.
Yes, I understand loving your pets and everything, but that, in my opinion, I find that to be a little bit creepy.
Well, the thing like this one's in the poor aquarium, you know what I mean? That's Fluffy over there. But yeah, she did love her pets. But talking with one of the neighbors, yeah, that's how we kind of found out what was going on. She was there in the kitchen doing dishes. I guess she was putting them back into the refrigerator because I keep my dishes there. Mary, how about you? Do you keep your dishes in the refrigerator?
Oh, yeah. Refrigerator, I like to keep them in my washer and dryer too.
See, that's a new one. Okay, got you.
It's the perfect place for them.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. So then we got some other fun stuff. But this lady was actually living in this house. And that also gets into some of the situation with our elderly parents and our elderly friends. Why don't you check in on them from time to time, people? You know what I mean? But now, literally where that sink was, she did pass away there. She had a heart attack. She was doing the dishes. In fact, actually, the bowl and cup is right there that she was washing. But she had a heart attack there, collapsed. And, yeah, she had one large dog and then two smaller dogs. But yeah, it was a long time before the neighbors actually got to her. It was almost 2 weeks, and yeah, the animals began to ingest and to eat her. Unfortunately, yep, there it was. They put a dehu in later, but we did want to show the direct area where she passed away at. But yeah, they kind of scooped her up into a blanket, and then they hauled her into the hospital. And then the bad part is at this particular property, the client didn't want to do anything with it. And this was a row home. So there was a lot. I mean, you can tell just from looking at the kitchen how much stuff was there. But that house was packed full. She was a hoarder, widower, and I think she lost one of her children in war. I do believe so. Mm. But anyway, so the client wouldn't do anything. The city stepped in. They started doing their process, and they trashed out the house. They kept cutting the yard, so on and so forth, and they put a $65,000 lien on the house. Now, this house was particularly sold at sheriff's sale, which was very funny because magically this property comes back up with Mary's company, and we're checking things out. We're cutting the grass. Lo and behold, you're going to love this, people. That property sold at sheriff's sale 2 years prior to Mary receiving that work order. 2 years it sold. Mm-hmm. And the preservation company that was handling it, they just kept sending the grass cut orders out, So point on this one is it's one of those things where, it's a fine line between property preservation and trespassing. I mean, I guess the new owner didn't care. He was getting free grass cuts, and I guess the contractors were getting paid out of it. But the borough actually had to call in and stop people from cutting the grass because this other investor bought it. He's trying to flip it. He's trying to do his thing, but he has a $65,000 lien that he has to deal with the town and stuff for them trashing the property out. The one neighbor said they had to come in with full hazmat gear. And they had to run HEPA purification filters and ozonators. The city did in the house, so that way the workers could be working in there and be safe from all the stuff. And remember, this was almost 4 years, I think it was, or 5 years worth of time frame between these pictures to when it actually got sold. So, we've always found, and again, if any of you have information or anything contradictory, please, join the discussion, join the conversation, drop us a comment. But normally we find here on the East Coast that unless it's a reverse mortgage through RMS, a standardized preservation house that goes from abandonment all the way to sheriff's sale is about a 2-year process. But it always seems that when people pass away, because you have probate courts you have to deal with, you have different debts in courts you have to extend to outside of standard abandonment. And normally, a house where people pass away in, it can take upwards to 4 years to deal with. So, what is your longest running property? To our viewers out there, what is your longest running property? What is that property you have had forever? What's that property you've had that has been in preservation for the longest time? My record, by the way, is 20. Sorry, it's 2002. No, 2011. Sorry, 2011. So this house, we don't have pictures of this one, but I'll give you a quick story. So this property was purchased. The gentleman was in the military. Situation happened, so and so forth. He was a helicopter mechanic. Wasn't that much work for a helicopter mechanic up here, so he moved down south. I do believe to South Carolina or North Carolina. Took all of his stuff with him. The house was completely empty, but for some strange reason, that house sat vacant and was being maintained for 15 years. And I had it through so many different companies. It was hilarious. We had it through regionals. We had it direct through nationals. It went away, and then it came back through a different national, and then find out there was a national in between that one. So, but when you look at it all, it's like it's a timeline. It's like every major company touched this house for some reason, and it wasn't a horrible house. The roof was kind of shoddy, and they ended up spending $30,000 to put a new roof on. And again, you had the standard preservation stuff that they did. The small bleed streets, the drywall removal. There was nothing wrong with this house. It wasn't filled with junk. It wasn't filled with mold. It wasn't filled with food. It was empty. The worst part about it was I think a squirrel died in the house once or twice. But you know what I mean? But that house literally sat in preservation for 15 years. Why? And magically, this is the year amongst years, it sold. And the guy's alive. The guy's, like I say, he's a helicopter mechanic somewhere in North or South Carolina for the military. Go figure. So you gotta love these stories. And again, if you have any of those fun, interesting stories, granted, this situation that we're talking about today is definitely not a fun thing, but it's the realization of our business. We have all kinds of fun stories that we hear. We have all kinds. You have two that's going on 2 years. Yeah, exactly. And that's normally the time frame that we have working on these properties. Now, I call those kind of properties a bank account. Those are the ones that is going to pay off your trucks. Those are the ones you're going to just have forever, and those are the fun ones that, you kind of feel good that you took it from an initial secure to trash out. You work with the real estate agent and it gets sold. Those are the ones too that really justify and make me feel good in the industry that I'm doing something to help the business and to also help the neighborhood. We're trying our best to make that nasty looking, disgusting abandoned house look normal. And we're going to have a few of those shows too, where we talk about the extremes from, oh my goodness, to brand new house that just sold, So we're going to have a few of those shows too, just to kind of show what our business is about here in the industry, because I feel anyway, and I enjoy this business because you're able to take that nasty looking, disgusting thing that nobody wants to touch, that stinks, and through your hard work, through your efforts of your team members, through the great work of your processing company and working with your nationals, you're able to take that property to a home. You take that house to a home, and, actually almost all of these houses that we are talking about today, except for maybe 3 or 4, have actually sold out and have been flipped. So it's our industry. But anyway, so let's move on to our next fun house. This is a story and a half. See the ladder, see the rake. Don't ask me about the rake. I don't know why that was in the bedroom. So it's Christmas Eve. Chill is in the air. The light hint smell of the firewood up the street from the burning fire in the fireplace. Smell of burning wood in the air. Crisp, clean snowflakes falling down. It's Christmas Eve. It's a magical time. Mom and dad are fighting. Mom and dad are having arguments. The kids are upstairs. This is a split floor home, so you have a first floor, front door steps go down to the bottom floor. Bottom floor is a walkout. Mom and dad are fighting. So mom and dad don't want to fight in front of the kids. Mom and dad go downstairs to the bedroom. Dad comes back up. Kids, it's Christmas Eve. Let's open presents. You can open them all. But where's mommy? Mommy has a headache. She's laying down. She'll be up. She'll be up in a minute. But kids, let's open these up. She's taking pictures. Gets on his phone, calls the local police department. Hey, you need to come to 555 Main Street. There's been an incident. Goes back to his kids, enjoying that moment in time. Kids have already opened up all their presents, and they're playing, and they're having a wonderful time. Man, them cops just haven't shown up yet. Guy jumps in his truck with his kids still in the house, but that's okay. Mom's downstairs. Drives to the police station, turns himself in. Police goes hot, sirens blaring. Run back to the house, secure the children. Go down into the basement where the parents' rooms are. Find out that dad shot mom in the face. She passed. Grandmother came over, got the kids, and then the sick part happened. See all the holes in the wall? Supposedly, this gentleman was part of an organization, and they had a lot of cash. So, supposedly, he took a large volume of money and hid it inside the house, inside the walls, wherever. So, her family and his family were fighting, breaking into the house constantly, going through stuff, trying to find the money. This particular pictures here, these series of pictures are the room where she passed in. And there is the bed, as you can see. And you can see where her body fell, where her face fell after the shotgun hit. And obviously, she passed in that very spot as she was laying there. And you can see the mark out where the bed is. There's another clear picture of it all. So a life ended there in that room. And there's the evidence there. You see even some of the bloody footprints moving around. And again, through the pictures, you'll see how the ceiling tile was removed and some pieces of the drywall were cut out for obvious reasons. All the furniture here was moved into the garage on the first floor. And again, there are pieces through this house where they have broken the walls, but a life ended there. And a very tragic event because of an argument. The worst part is that his family and her family were walking over this spot, walking through this room of tragedy, of human nature, just so that way they could claim the money that was supposedly hidden in the house. He, by the way, got life. And we ended up, the reason that how we know all this, of course, is through the neighbors. And we actually talked to one of the cousins, one of the family members who gave us the entire story. But to think the energy in that house, was again very oppressing. I hated walking into that house. I really did. Not only because every other day it seems to be that the family members were breaking back into the house one way or the other, leaving it unsecured totally. But also, again, they were just rooting and rampant through everything just to find, I think it was like, they claimed it was like $40,000 or $50,000 in cash that was hidden, that was being kind of taken off the books from this organization and such. But I don't know what's worse. I'll be honest with you. It's one of those situations to know that that kind of vicious activity happened in that home, or the lack of regard and respect from the two family members over that situation just for cash, just for money. How can you sit there and live with yourself? You're sitting there walking over the bloodstained carpet that either your daughter-in-law, or your daughter passed at, and you're sitting there looking for cash. Kind of makes you sick, at least in my humble opinion.
That's when you find out the true nature of people.
It does, and I hate to say
Sadly.
this industry brings out sometimes the best and sometimes the worst, and it's such a wide spectrum of emotions that go into our industry and goes into our business. It's not going to go paint a wall for the happy customer. It's not, cooking up a breakfast at a restaurant you own, or making a slushie at a convenience store that you own, or farming a field. It's like you see everything in this industry, and this is one of those things that not only people that are in the industry can relate to, but then also people that might be wanting to get inside of this industry. This is a real fact. Now, this isn't every house. We go through all kinds of houses that end up just the person got a better job in Nevada, so they just forget it and leave, or they bought the house and they're underwater, or there is a divorce situation going on, a civil one, but there's a divorce. Just things happen in life, and just you deal with those situations too. And again, you deal with the disease and the death houses. You deal with those houses where our elderly neighbors can't take care of themselves, so they live in squander. They live in this squalor of not having running water, not having a clean home, not having proper food. You know what I mean? But again, you're driving around in your $95,000 BMW next door. What happened to humanity? What happened to checking on our elderly neighbors? What happened to checking on our friends? My goodness, what happens even knowing people? I mean, I've been to so many houses, and I'm talking to the people next door, and I'm like, hi, do you know what's going on with this property? I work for banks and asset management companies. She's like, I don't know. Do you know who their name? No, I never talked to them. And it's like, that's where society is. It's like, wow. Yes. So, you find these interesting stories out, these interesting things. So let's move on to the next. We have still several more to go through. So hold on, get your popcorn ready. Here's the next one. Oh my. I don't know what to tell you about this house. I want everyone to pay attention to that baby Yoda bed sheet. And buckle up, people. This is a story. Okay. So we all see the bed sheet. Okay. So here's the story. Husband, wife's daughter. Excuse me, wife's sister. Sorry. The wife and husband adopted a bunch of kids. And this house downstairs in the basement was just filled with joy and family. There's handprints on the wall in paint, Bobby, Johnny, Peter, Paul, whatever. We love daddy, we love mommy, games and toys. Like this whole house, as you venture through this house, was all just family love and just all about the kids, So you go in like one part of the house and it's like, it's like you have that oppression feeling. You go to other parts, it just feels all happy and joy. And there's just some of the stuff you see there. I mean, just all these kids. So the bed that you saw, so here's the story. This came from a 92-year-old, very nice lady next door, total sweetheart. So we go into the property. This house was already secured for us by another vendor. We came in and started doing some work. Come to find out the story from the lady. So here we go. So husband, wife's sister, and 5 kids. The sister and the wife is diabetic. So she ends up losing a leg. And that's why that bed is there. And then also she ends up losing an eye. Okay, so she's a peg-leg pirate. She needs a parrot. And I despise this woman, by the way. And I don't even know her. So anyway, the mom and the sister get a plan together that they are going to take the kids away and make the dad pay for child support, because the mom already gets assistance money because of all the kids. The mom already gets assistance money, and the sister's like, hey, we can go move in with ourselves. I don't like your husband. Let's just go do this. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. She takes the kids. Mom, sister, and the 5 kids move out. Dad is there by himself at the house. Dad's trying to fight for the kids. Visitation, anything he can do. And this man is not rich. This family is not rich. But she claims abuse, so she gets a lot of the social services for free. He does not. Every time he gets the children, every weekend he gets the children, every weekend that he gets the children, the next Monday he has the cop showing up at his door. He's getting arrested because supposedly he molested the girls. Now, of course, this was falsehood brought forth by the wife and the sister, but he still had to go to jail. He still had to deal with a court date. It was proven non-factual. And it got to the point where the cops were just showing up. I was like, she filed that you did such and such to so and so, but we're not even going to go. We're just going to give you the summons for the court, because the cops even knew that it was BS. Think about this. Just think about the turmoil that this man went through. Then COVID hit. He got COVID really bad. Was in the hospital for over a month. Almost died. He gets out. He's like, he lost his job, by the way, of course. And he's like, I need to do something. So he does everything he can. He thinks, well, I'm going to go get Uber Eats. I'm going to go deliver for DoorDash and Uber Eats. I'm going to go deliver food to try to get some money in my pocket. Gets into his car, starts delivering. Everything kind of is looking a little better. Got the lawyer together. He's starting to fight again, trying to get things situated. He's trying to sue her. Boom. Car accident. His car it's not totaled, but it's done. It can't be driven. Sends the police, tow the vehicle away. The guy talks to the insurance company, starts to get everything in process with the insurance company, gets the truck repaired. You know what I mean? He falls ill again. He's in a respirator. He's having some breathing problems. He's trying to get disability. He's trying to get assistance. He's trying to go everywhere he possibly can to try to get help with rent, with mortgages, with, just life. You know what I mean? Finally, the day of reckoning, the sunshine day comes about. Bob's Auto Shop calls. The truck's done. Yes, I can get back to work. I can go get a job. I can do something. Yes. Mr. Smith, all you have to do is just pay us the blah, blah, blah balance, and you are good to go. Well, wait a minute. The insurance company is supposed to be paying that. Well, we haven't received a check. We called the insurance company to submit the final invoice, and they said they sent a check out. So once we get our payment, we can release the vehicle to you, and you're good to go. I haven't gotten a check. Let me call the insurance company. Hi, insurance company. Mr. Smith here. My truck it was a Jeep, sorry. My Jeep is in the shop. The Bob's Auto Shop said it's done, and they said that you sent out a check, but I haven't received it yet, and I want to get my Jeep back so I can start working again. Well, Mr. Smith, we mailed it to this address. The insurance company mailed it to his ex-wife. It was like $10,000. And she kept the money because the vehicle was still in her name. Or it was jointly in both. The insurance policy and the vehicle was still both in their names. He had enough. He walked over to one of the beds, pulled out a Baby Yoda bed sheet. I want to back up the other picture there, please, Ellen. Back up again. There we go. So he moved the ceiling tiles around and got to a main beam or pipe that he could tie that little thing onto. And he nuzzled his butt up onto that countertop right there in front of those drawers, and he tied that noose around his neck. And this is real. This is not Hollywood. This is real. This is a real picture from a real house that I took. I personally took that picture. But he sat himself up on that countertop, and he tied the noose around his neck, and he flung himself off. Well, you can tell that's not going to do anything. It's going to suffocate. And he would lay there, he would just dangle there until he lost his consciousness, but his body wants to survive, so his body would kick his legs back up, and he would stand up And he would kind of regain consciousness, get some air back into him, and then realize he was still alive. So he got himself back up on that. He kind of sat himself back up on the countertop and did it again. And again, he woke up. And again. And again. And again. According to the coroner's report, it took 45 minutes of strangulation through bruising and broken capillaries, or however they determined that through the autopsy. It took him 45 minutes to actually pass. So 2 weeks later, because he didn't have a car, he didn't have nothing. You see here on the other kitchen countertop over there on the island a bunch of mail. Those were all of the denial letters for support and help from all different places throughout the state. So 2 weeks later, the beautiful 91-year-old little neighbor, sweet little lady, and I mean little, she was short, comes in and calls the police. It's a small town, so the local sheriff's there, and he's like, I can't go in there. I can't go in there without some kind of evidence, without anything. But if you get the sister, the man's sister, the husband's sister, if you get her here, she gives me authorization. I can go into the house and do a wellness check. Because again, he might have just left. He could have, a friend of his could have got here and they might have left, and that's why you haven't seen him in 2 weeks. She's like, no. I watch this house all the time. That's all she does. I know he's in there. Something's wrong. Well, get the sister here. 2 days later, sister comes in to the police, or to the house. The police come, and you can't see in this picture, but over here to the left of your screen, you see the kitchen cabinets, the wire shelf. Around that corner, there's a door. The door leads to a deck outside. And of course, that's the door they're going to enter. The sister already has keys, of course. So you think about that for a minute. When she opens up the door, she sees that. Her brother hanging by a bed sheet in the kitchen. It's tragedy. It truly was. So, of course, the state comes in, the police do their thing. The coroner removes the body, do their thing, so on and so forth. And again, we come into the situation as property preservation technicians. We start securing the property. We start cutting the grass. We do the winterization there. We start maintaining and taking care of the property. I get a work order to go and, like lockbox doesn't work, go check security. So, of course, I go there, and you want to hit the next few pictures. And by the way, this is probably about 6-7 months. And lo and behold, when I pull up to the property, we'll get the right picture here. When we pull up to the property, just something doesn't seem right. Like, this can't be. Keep going. There we go. There's a dumpster out front. See that great house right there? That's a sweet little old lady. Spent many hours talking to her. She doesn't talk to anyone. And that's how you find out all these wonderful stories. Wonderful. But anyway, so there's a dumpster there. I'm like, oh, okay. It must be a sheriff's sale. Or maybe someone's trashing it out. I call my client. I'm like, hey, yeah, there's a dumpster here, guys. You guys trashing it out? No, it's not us. It's not us. I'm like, well, Alan, next picture, please. See, there's the couch. But look, here's a truck delivering a brand new refrigerator stove combo. I'm like, this ain't right. Maybe, a flipper got it. You know what I mean? It got sold at sheriff's sale, but I don't remember seeing a sheriff's sale. Something strange. I'm just sitting there across the street. My truck's actually parked on the other side of the box truck here. And I'm making phone calls, and lo and behold, see a little car roll up. And a peg leg, one-eyed woman steps out. Yep. So what happened is that, and I don't know the whole situation, but the man was driven to end his life, to take his life in a very violent way. And his wife, not only, or ex-wife, wife, whatever the situation where there was, not only got the money, the $10,000 to fix the truck, but then she also got the life insurance policy. She ended up flipping the house and renting it out. She paid off the entire mortgage, and she still owns that house today. It's got brand new appliances. See, there's her little wheelchair. What you find out in these properties, you know what I mean? But it's a very true story, and it's life in its own. And like I say, that gentleman died in that house, and she profited from it. And now she's making rental income, and she, you know, it just boggles your mind sometimes with the stuff that you hear in these houses, especially a story that tragic, a story that rough. So, all right, Mary, it's your turn. You've been very quiet over there.
It's a very somber episode today.
It is, but it's the facts of life. It's the facts of our business.
Yes,
you know?
yes, we have a lot of them.
Yeah, and it happens, and you need to be prepped for it.
Yes, so this one we received through a client. They were actually having troubles finding someone who would actually go into this property to get the information and the photos that they needed. The gentleman that owned this home ended up passing away at home in his bed. But he was there for so long that his body had mummified. Everything had drained out all over the floor and the bed sheets and the surrounding junk. You can see the blankets and stuff there on the side of the bed. When they found him, the police actually had to leave the windows open for like a week and a half to at least get some of the smell out of this house.
I want to jump in real quick. This is actually a row home. This is an end unit on a row home complex. And I will say this. This is the easiest initial secure ever done because we went to the police station. We got a key to the front door. It was great.
Yeah, because when we arrived, the windows were still open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the craziest things. That's the weirdest email that we've ever gotten is that the body was partially mummified.
Yeah.
Do you realize how long that takes?
Very long time.
And where was the family checking in on dad or grandpa?
Yeah, even just, I mean, if it smelled that bad, I'm surprised that the neighbors didn't complain and somebody would go and check it out because they said the smell was so horrible, even with the windows open for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. When our contractor went in, like the smell was still off, obviously. And I don't understand how nobody else smelled that.
That was one of those houses that the gentleman was eating a lot of canned soup. Wouldn't even heat it up. You just pop a can and eat it right out of the can and just throw the can in one of the corners. So it was a kind of a collection there of those. But that's one of those houses, again, that we deal with on a regular basis. Now, we do not do the biohazard cleanup or removal and things like that,
No.
Of course. We did have a special company come in and price that out. And then magically it just it went off the radar. So we don't know exactly what happened to this property. We were there 2 or 3 times. That's about it.
Yeah, we got the bids and pictures and everything together for them, but nothing ever transpired from it.
So yeah, but again, you see the staining of the bed sheets there in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You see the actual staining, and that is yeah, we all know what that is. But yeah, that was our first mummification house. Never seen one like it. Never see one again on that one.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to move into a fun one. So this particular property, oh boy, this had so many elements to it. Abandoned vehicles, had a secondary house on it, had rats the size of small cats, had a farmer's field in the back. So this particular one, lady was sleeping at home, and unfortunately, now she didn't pass away in this house. Yeah, but she could have. So yes, let's just dive right into this one. Ellen, bring it up. Oh, lunch. Oh wait, no, that's dinner. That's spaghetti there on the table. Sweet. This particular house, you see the front door there. Scroll back one, please. There you go. See the little ray of sunshine there in the corner, in the far corner there? That's the door, and that's as far as you could open it. That particular house, the lady was living in that. All right, scroll away on. She was living in that. That's her living room. You see where the chair is and the cool lamp? Sorry for a little blur. We were kind of... So, but that was her house. That was her Squalor. She lived in that house. She lived in that house. That's the bathroom. You know what they are, right? Oh, yeah. Fun, fun, fun. This is what happens. Literally, like, it's you see the toilet bowl there in the corner there by the 237. That toilet bowl is, you can literally see the adult diapers and everything were piled up almost to the height of the toilet. This is one trash out that I will try to sub out as fast and hard as I can. But no, there's her bed. Look at that bed. This was on initial secure, people. Look at that nasty bed. Look at it. Look at it. I don't know what she was doing in that bed, but oh my goodness. No wonder she had problems. You're laying next to that. And by the way, that was 2 months after she was taken away. Now, the interesting part, when the fire department got there because she was complaining of heart problem or heart pain, chest pains, they didn't take her back through the property. It was that nasty. They actually went through, and in the upper corner you can see there's a window frame there with no window. They actually took the window out so they could transport her through that room to the waiting ambulance out front. See, there it is, right there by that blue and purple bin. There's a window there, people. But they took the window out so they could get her out quickly because they didn't want to go back through the house. Do you realize how bad that is? Our brave men and women of the fire department and police, they see stuff that makes me cringe. And they were like, nope, we're taking out the window, people. And then they put metal over top of the window to secure it. But yeah, look at that mattress. And she didn't die. She didn't die in that house. But unfortunately, again, when people do pass, no matter what, it is a tragic thing. But yes, she did pass away February of this year. We were going to that house for about a year now. But she was living in that house. There are holes in the wall about the size of a grapefruit. Hello. And that's what rats use to go through. So I want you to think about it. That cute little mouse that keeps bugging you in your house, choose a hole about the size of a dime because it can fit through. I want you to think about a rat that big and what that actually deals with. This was so bad, we actually tried to get plumbers to go in there. They laughed. They walked up and were like, hell no. They left. That house is so bad. We actually took all of this stuff. We moved it into another location on the property because they needed access to get to the plumbing system and stuff. So yeah, the client paid an obscene amount of money because that's not garbage, people. That's personal property. Personal property. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what they like to call it.
Yeah, it's definitely personal there. There's see, that's when it's really bad when you buy the Little Debbie. You see that box center screen there? That's a Little Debbie box. Ooh, boy. You know you got issues when you're buying Little Debbie cakes by the box load. You know, by the case. You know it's bad. So, all right, moving on. But yeah, that house is always a good one. So, Mary, you got this one. This is your territory house.
Okay, so this house we have actually been going to for quite some time, a little over 2 years, I do believe. The gentleman that lived in this house, he was a huge collector of trains and anything associated with trains. He had a beautiful setup in one of his rooms, but he ended up passing away right there in his recliner.
And we see the condition of that recliner.
Yes.
And you know what's really sad? Upon one of our last visits to the property, the rats that were in the house, because this house is surrounded by farmers' fields, the rats actually got into the house because the bank hasn't removed the food yet. The food's still there, and the soda and the Pepsi and everything else. But literally, they have eaten away all of the chair cloth because of the biohazard material that's left behind from the gentleman. But you think about how long he was sitting in that chair, passed away. For that to look like that. Think about it, people. You know what I mean? But again, this is a tragic house. Not just so the gentleman passed away, which is always tragic. But what happened is this is one of those properties that we did the initial secure with. We were dealing with the property for a long time. And then all of a sudden, an inspector came through, or another property preservation company came in, and after that, it's horrible. All those trains, that gentleman's life collection was hoarded and stolen from the property and sold. Mm-hmm. These people were taking the tracks off of this table the gentleman built. He built a city. We've all seen him. He built this city in his pastime, his passion. He built this whole city of trains, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful.
It was.
But no. Some contractor came in and literally just started ripping the house off bit by bit.
Ripped it all apart.
And then when that got done, then they started taking every shelf. You can't even walk in that house anymore without stepping on something. Mm-mm. Because some contractor didn't do his job to protect and preserve the asset that we are paid to do. And he ended up, the junk was worth it. And don't get me wrong, the gentleman's collection was very vast, but one thing we push on this show, I don't care if the gentleman or lady has passed away. I don't care if they're living next door. You do not have the right to take any damn thing from these houses. So stop. No. This stuff does not belong to you. You give me a bad name, so stop. If you want more money, wake up 2 hours early and go get it done. You can make millions of dollars in this industry. Millions. Stop stealing from these houses. It's annoying. Trust me. And when we do find you, by the way, we report it. We make sure everything is tracked back. All kinds of photographic evidence. And by the way, too, just so everybody knows, if you are the one with the the sticky fingers, the banks are now actually, because they're getting tired of lawsuits, they're actually having very select contractors stage items and actually put cameras, small, kind of like deer cameras and things like that, that will take pictures and send them up through cell signals. They're starting to do that now because they're tired of getting sued because John, the ghetto contractor, wants to steal from houses for junk that he doesn't need. So always remember that. But anyway, with that particular property, it ended up, they came back in, they stole all the copper out of the house.
Yeah, that's all gone.
They stole all the personal belongings. They threw everything around. This gentleman's entire life is gone. Now, don't get me wrong. When you get the trash out, you do what you got to do. You make it happen. But what is the point of taking everything out of the dressers and dumping it on the floor? Because I don't need, the good contractors. I don't need the good employees that are going in there and have to deal with that mess because you're trying to look for 55 cents. Come on, people. Come on. That's not our business. It's not what we're there to do. We're there to protect that asset. We're there to protect the property therein. And when the timing comes right, when the bank owns it and they own that property, it's yours. You have the work order. Knock yourself out. Stop stealing from properties. You want to make more money? Hustle. You want to make more money? Get your butt up earlier and get it done. I have made, in my tenure, millions and millions and millions of dollars. I have helped communities. I have trained people, giving them a new life. I have helped people. I have taken that money and I have done good with it. Stop stealing from houses. You get the trash out order, it's all yours. You got it. And subsequently, this house is trashed out. It got bought by the bank, and REO, it turned into an REO. A real estate agent has it, and they are working on selling it right now. So the point that I'm getting at is that here's a tragic situation. A man passed away. It's going to happen to every single one of us watching this. It's going to happen. How would you like it if all of your stuff gets treated like nothing? Your life's work gets treated like nothing and dumped onto the floor. Your family photographs, your portraits of that wonderful cookout you had 10 years ago that you whatever, is just now chucked everywhere and laid everywhere. Do better, people. So there's the rant for the day. Sorry, I had to keep going. All right, moving on to the next one. And we have so many, we're going to run out of time. So we'll go a little bit longer on this one just so we can finish things up because we got some doozies in here. So this is a wonderful house. Look how gorgeous this house is. And again, you see how the houses that we do, how they look. They don't look ramshacked. They don't look disturbed. Nothing's missing. Why? Because I like to buy new stuff, not take other people's old junk. So again, you see it's Christmas time. It's happy time. This is a gentleman living on his own. Nice little house, 2-car garage, setting up on the hill. Neighbor loved them. Of course, that was his favorite chair. He was sitting in that chair, wasn't feeling too well, and decided then to go back to his bedroom, where eventually the gentleman did pass away through natural causes. And there is the bed. And you can tell there for a moment. He was there for a moment. Where the chair is, he had his own little office set up there. He had his situation there. But again, you can tell the activity that happened there and how long that gentleman was there, judging by that. So he passed away peacefully. And, this was one of those houses that it's a moment in time frozen. And that's what's kind of eerie about certain houses. And again, the family, once they extracted, there's the bed sheets that he did actually pass away in. But with these particular properties, it's like a moment frozen in time. There's still the same things in the refrigerator. And if I do remember right, there was a plate and a little knife and a cup sitting in the sink that he just got done eating with. And again, he went back to his bedroom. He laid down and took his final breath and moved on. But you get those somber moments knowing that, like I say, that was his favorite chair. He was sitting there watching some TV. He wasn't feeling good, thought he had some indigestion, and then walked in. And then again, he ended up passing away. Again, somber moments. And that's where the respect of that person's life that we need to have, you know what I mean? And that's where we get into that we hate to see these houses. And there's nothing that's ever happened to that house. We've had that house for a while now, and no one else is going into it. We know it. And that house is pristine. And if you walk into that house today, it looks the same way. Because we have respect, number one, for the industry that we do. We follow the rules, regulations, and laws. We have respect for the people's lives that were there. But once again, when it does come time and the bank actually owns the property and does their thing, the trash out order comes down, then it's time to remove those items and get those things taken care of so the asset can be resold. But never forget, the buildings we go into, the houses we go into, they're people's homes. So you got to think about these things as you're doing your job and doing it correctly and doing it right. Two more, people. Two more. Can we go? Can we stomach this? Are you ready for a little more? It's all you, Mary.
Okay, so this one is, we actually just received this one fairly recently, completed the initial secure on it. So some of the backstory on this one, the elderly lady that lived here was a hoarder. She did not want to throw anything away. Now, keep in mind, as you're looking through these photos, about 90% of everything that you see on the floor is takeout bags, takeout boxes, food containers. Like, it is disgusting. She had gotten to the point to where she had used the bathroom so much, clogged the toilet, couldn't use the toilet anymore. So she started using the bathtub. started using the bathtub, and then she started using diapers, and she picked a room, and that's where she started changing them. So yeah, this house is, it's so, I mean, up to your waist almost in some of these rooms. Some of them are even higher. It is just nothing but trash.
There's
That's
a
her
bed
bed.
under there, I swear. Oh, was that? Is that? No, that's Papa John pizza. All right, I was kind of thinking
Yeah,
donuts.
but
there for a minute there.
if you look on the right hand side, there is just a huge pile of used diapers. Yeah,
You love those houses at 98 degrees or 104 degrees outside. Those are the good houses to go into.
yes. So there's up close and personal.
Yum yum.
Up close and personal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and the sad part is, everyone go to your bedroom and look at your headboard, and you think about how tall that garbage is. You think about how much those diapers, how much.
There are rooms in there that are so packed with garbage, you can barely get the door open. He had to stick his hand in the doorway and take pictures.
The things we do for our clients, they never know, do they?
Well, and they sent over an email, and they want us to do a winterization in this house. Now, this is
the last of their worries, don't you think?
Yeah, this place has radiators.
Oh, they're fun.
They want us to, you can't even get to them. Can't even locate all of them.
You know, and again, where are the neighbors at with this property? I see through some windows, I see houses. Where's the neighborhood? Where's the community at in some of these houses for this elderly lady to be living this kind of squalor?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying the responsibility of everybody falls on the neighbors, but you know what I mean? It's like, how did she hide this? How did, obviously she never had anyone in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, you get into those circumstances and situations, as we have seen countless times. And hey, people viewing, people watching, if you have those moments, please share them with us. We would love to see your stories, and we can even bring you on as a guest in the podcast to check things out and to tell your stories, your horror stories, your wonderful stories. And don't worry, I think the next show we might do is like from the initial secure, and we'll do like one where it's been flipped. You know what I mean? We'll clean it up the next show. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the stinky side of the preservation business.
Yeah.
But the reality of the fact is these pictures are from initial secure base. These are not 6 months in, and they've been that lady was living in that.
Yeah, these are our initial secure photos.
You see some of those properties where it's like like a few previous properties prior, where everything's nice and organized and everything's neat and clean, and the gentleman passed away on the bed and the chair, so on and so forth, but the house is organized. The lady lived in that. Could you imagine the air quality there in that house? I know, of course, we always stock respirators, radiators, and white suits in our trucks and stuff. So, yeah. So moving on to the next property, and this will be our last one so we can wrap things up. Here again is another property. Grandma and Grandpa lived in this house. This was an old farmhouse. It's a big old brick farmhouse. Had a huge bank barn in the back. And then, of course, the massive acreage behind the house was sold off to a farmer, but this was the house left over. And again, you see the old sink base, you see the old cabinets from 1950, 1940. So this house is old. You see this beautiful wood trim, but look at that house. Look at that condition. The gentleman, so the story with this one is, again, the wife, I think she passed away first. And then the husband, the father, or the grandfather, he passed away inside of that house. But here again, another situation where they were hoarders. And you see the empty soup can on top of the refrigerator and the pack of cigarettes. If you smoke, you should quit. But anyway, but that's all that house was just open food containers everywhere. Now, of course, the family came in and they got the guns and they got the jewelry and they got everything of value, of course. But just look at that filth. Look at that squalor. And to think that gentleman was living there, and just look at the collection. This room isn't too bad. You got an aisle away, and at least you can see the carpet. So kudos there. But just look at all the stuff, the junk that was collected. Now I take that back to the gentleman that was collecting it. That was priceless goods or a necessity, but it's junk. But in the one particular room, which is his bedroom, you see the ceiling was kind of collapsing down. And again, that's the best place to keep your outdoor furniture is the second floor bedroom. That's where I keep all my outdoor furniture and my snowblowers and my bicycles. They're so convenient there on a winding second floor steps. Now, just as before, we see our containers. We see it's brown. That ain't soup. That's not beef stew, people. That was the bathroom. Because again, the toilets got clogged, and again, you can see the sink. You can see the bathtub here is full of containers. And yeah, that's not butter. That's not butter. But moving on to yeah.
Ugh.
I hope everyone had breakfast.
I have not.
We're done for the day. So there's our picture. There's his bed. There's where he had passed away in that bed right there. But in the one corner of that room, again, the same thing, just a bunch of adult diapers because he could not mobilize himself to go to the bathroom to use the small containers. So he just utilized that. Where's the family? Where's the grandkids? Where's the kids at in the situation? Obviously they were there at the end of it all when it was all done and over with, because at the end of the day, the gun cabinet was missing, or the gun cabinet was missing all the guns. The jewelry boxes was missing all the priceless jewelry, the gold, the diamonds, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But this was left behind. Where was the family at? Where was the daughter at? Where was the son at? To have enough respect for the parents, or did they pass away? We don't know. Again, we don't know every situation with that particular property, but again, this was going on for a while. This was an ongoing event, and this gentleman lived in that squalor and that until his final breath. And again, no matter what's in that house, we need to have respect for the life, respect for the items that belong to that estate, belong to that person. And when the trash out order comes, I hope I don't get it. That's all I got to say. I'll ask politely. No, thank you. But actually, the fun part is with that particular house, there's probably about 15 cars and trucks on that house. There's probably 30 lawnmowers. The one bank barn, like I said in the back, that is completely filled. There's like 4 old trucks and cars in that. So the guy definitely was a collector of. But imagine coming down and that's the gravity of your life. That's the. How could you sit there and even think about that? Look at that refrigerator. Look at that refrigerator. Look at that nasty refrigerator and just look at all the goop and the glump around on the handles and stuff. Imagine what the inside looks like. Oh, pro tip of the day, people, and then we're going to kind of wrap it up with this. Pro tip of the day. If you go into those houses, or really any house, remember, when you go through your property and you're organizing your photographs as you are taking them, the last picture you take is your refrigerator or freezers. Those are your last pictures. Because you can hold your breath for like a minute, and that gives you enough time to get out of the house. If you know, you know. Trust me. But like I say, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly of the preservation business. This is one of the D's that we have to deal with, is the divorce. Is the death. Some of those has some divorce in there too. So we hope that this show has been enlightening, and we apologize, but we did give you a little warning up front, but this is the true reality of the preservation business and what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. These properties are not oddities. These properties are not the once in a blue moon. These are consistent properties that we receive on a weekly basis. And it also talks about the backstory of some of these properties and some of the tragedies that happen in life. And we're there kind of dealing with and cleaning up the situation that is left behind. And that's why it's critical that our job, PNP, is to protect and preserve that asset. And we deal with those situations. We deal with the problems. We deal with the smells. We deal with the rotten food. We deal with the adult dirty diapers. Be safe. Be smart. It can be done. And there is a lot of money to be made, not just in these houses, but in every house. So when you venture out tomorrow morning in the nice clean air, here in Pennsylvania, I see sun shining. So hopefully in your area, if you're anywhere near the wildfires, hopefully you have some great clean air on Monday. It doesn't smell like a burning trash pit. And we go out and we do our job. We make our neighborhoods beautiful. And remember, we are only paid by our clients, but we work for our neighborhood. We work for the neighbors that just bought that $350,000 to $450,000 house, and they have to live next door to those properties. They have to be adjoined to those properties, one wall over. And they have to also deal with that. And that's our job, is to make their life easier too, in a sense, by dealing with the situation, make sure the grass looks as best as we can make it, make sure we're writing those bids for trash outs, for getting rid of the food so we can get rid of the smell, to get rid of the animal feces, to try to clean the property up as best as our clients will allow us to do, but make a difference and make an impact every day you're out there in the field, because you do. Never forget that. It is a thankless job. Nobody comes and gives you a bottle of champagne or bakes you a cake. But at the end of the day, with a fat, full wallet and a big old bank account, that you've made a change in your neighborhood too. So with that, I will leave it alone. Mary, what else you got? You got anything you want to end with?
Nope. I don't got nothing.
Fair enough. After seeing all that, who really has anything to say?
Yeah.
So, but again, a lot of interesting stories, but these are real stories from our worksheets. These are real stories from neighbors. This is not Hollywood. This is real life, and sometimes real life is much more interesting.
Yeah.
And I am going to put this up as our picture of the day.
Yes.
And so if you're still here, thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying the whole time. And if you have your own nightmare, please let us know. We're interested in hearing other people's stories. You can post it on our Facebook group. You can put it in our community. I'll actually put a link up for that here now. And you can go to our website, and all the links and everything are on our website. There we go. So you can go to our website. It's propertypresinsiders.com. All there, you'll find more information about the show, the links to everything. And on our community, we have our notes, pictures. I'll have all these pictures up there, and links to all our social media. And until next week, well, hopefully the chaos and nightmares won't be as bad. You have a good week. We will see you then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow us and share it with your friends. Got questions? Go to our website, propertypresinsiders.com. We'd love to hear from you.